All right, welcome into another weather chat. Yeah, a little fun stuff going on. Last week, if you recall, we talked about ourselves, all four of us here in the weather department. Well, this week, a little different. We're talking about a topic, and to join me in that topic is Brittany Ward. Meteorologist Brittany Ward. There
Hey,
you are,
Scott.
Brittany. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing on this fine day?
I am doing just great. The weather's changing. We're getting out of the clouds.
Yep.
And we're getting into a lot of sunshine here as we go throughout the remainder of the week. But that's a whole different story. We're not here to forecast. We're here to talk about some truth and myths and stuff like that.
Within the weather.
Within the weather,
Yeah.
exactly. So let's kind of have a little fun with this and break it down. Some of the things you might have heard other people say to you over the years, some of the things you may have read about or heard about. Is it true? Is it false? What is it? Fact? Is it misconception? Well, we're going to try and debunk some of that stuff and make it a little clearer for you here across the area. So let's get into it here, Brittany. And the first one is fact or myth. Will you get electrocuted if you touch someone who was struck by lightning? Is that a myth or is that a fact?
Let's see. This is interesting because I feel like I've heard about this, especially as a child. You know, if you touch someone who got struck by lightning, then you could possibly also get electrocuted. But I want to go, that's a myth.
That's a myth, yeah. That's
Yep.
true. Yeah. The electrical charge that somebody does happen to actually, unfortunately, get from a lightning strike does not transition to a person trying to help somebody. And matter of fact, you want to try and give CPR right away to that person to get, hopefully, them breathing again, because lightning is so dangerous. Obviously, they say it's 5 times hotter than the sun.
Yeah. A crazy amount hotter than the sun.
Crazy amount hotter than the sun, and so thereby you want to help somebody, and by touching them is not going to electrocute you whatsoever. All right, let's move on from this one over to cold air makes you sick.
Okay,
Well,
this is a question. How many times have you heard that, Scott, as a child?
Oh, all the time. My mother said that. And what was the remedy? Oh, soup.
Soup. Yep.
Yeah, soup,
Yep.
soup.
And you know what? I will be honest. I feel like still to this day, people say this, that, cold air, if you go out, it could potentially make you sick, but that's actually not true.
Well, it's kind of it's a half truth.
Yeah.
All right. So there is a little bit, because cold air can bring about viruses, and those viruses are what actually make you sick.
But the actual cold air itself. So that's kind of a trick question.
A little bit of a trick question. But needless to say, it's something to think about and kind of wonder. Do we really have to worry about going out if it's? Will I get sick if I'm? No, not really.
Yeah.
No, not at all. So let's move on to the third one in our grouping here. And that one, as you see there, okay. So you can't get sunburned if it's not summer.
How many times have we heard this?
A lot.
A lot of times.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I've actually heard that, just growing up. Oh, it's wintertime, you can't get sunburn.
Right.
But that's actually false. You can still get sunburn in the wintertime. It's just not going to be as bad as in the summertime.
Correct. That is 100% a myth. Because the sun rays don't stop.
Yes.
Just because the calendar says, hey, we're in December, or we're in January. You can still get a bit of a sunburn out there. Matter of fact, the sun is a little closer to the earth when you think about it. So as a result, it's certainly a thing to think about. Have that sun, SPF ready to go because you may actually need it.
Yeah. Still use sunburn, not sunburn, what's it called? Sunscreen during the wintertime.
Sunscreen, yeah.
Especially us being on TV. I mean, yeah.
And that's again what we're talking about right there. So Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty interesting stuff. A couple of different sayings that you have heard over time, and two of the three are complete myths, but the third, the cold, kind of a half truth there. Yes, cold air can bring around viruses to make you sick, but does the actual cold air make you sick? Not really.
Yeah. So that's why I said that was a trick question, Scott. You got me on that one.
Yeah, a little bit of a little tricky one there, Brittany, for sure. That is some interesting stuff. Now we have coming up in our next segment, we're actually going to show you some different images and tie that to other different myths or truths or facts that you may have heard over time. And we'll break those down coming up on the other side of the break. So stay tuned for that. Okay, welcome back. And what we do have now are some slides or some images here, Brittany, to show our folks. And let's talk about maybe that myth
Okay.
that we were looking at. Okay, so we have
That's a
obviously
nice picture.
nice picture, nice tornado. Tornado is one of the deadliest types of weather. Tornadoes, and actually the next image too, hurricanes. Tornadoes and hurricanes are the most deadliest type of weather. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, they are deadly. There's no question about that. But I don't think they're the deadliest. I guess weather phenomenon that we could think of. So
Yes, very true. Actually, believe it or not, the silent killer. Have you heard of the silent killer?
I've heard of the silent killer.
And you know what I'm talking about. For folks who don't know what I'm talking about, that means heat and cold are silent killers, and most people die from extreme heat and extreme cold. Mm-hmm. And you want to expand upon that a little bit here?
Yeah, just from our little cliff notes, yes, it is true that heat is one of the deadliest weather phenomenons in the U.S., actually causing more fatalities than tornadoes. And to me, that was just like, wow, when we were looking that up. And that includes tornadoes, floods, and hurricanes combined.
Right, as you see here.
Yeah. So, and this is all coming from the National Weather Service. Heat has consistently been the leading cause of weather-related deaths in the United States in recent decades. And I mean, if you think about it, in the summertime when you're out and you have those heat index values in the triple digits, that could cause for some illnesses, especially for people who don't have the proper care to, kind of cool themselves off, or when you're exerting yourself too much in the heat. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that was just such an interesting fact.
Let's face it, we have warning. When there's tornadoes, the weather's bad to begin with, so no one's going to be out, right? When we have hurricanes, we have plenty of time. We have weeks, in essence, to view and track and path. No one's really going to, they're moving away. Heat. You're out. It's quiet.
Yeah, and you're just like, it's summer. What do we expect?
Right.
It's the summertime. Of course, it's going to be hot. But yeah, true. I mean,
and it affects so many people.
So many people.
I
mean, I'm one of them. Being a diabetic, I mean, my sugars, they go up and down during the extreme heat when I was reporting, and then the extreme cold. It's like so hard to kind of monitor my sugar and keep it at like a consistent level due to the different changes, and then my body like trying to react to like either cool myself down or like, warm myself up. So I did think that was a very interesting fact when we were actually looking into this.
Yeah, absolutely. So bottom line, just to recap, tornadoes, hurricanes, not the most deadly of weather phenomenon out there. The heat, extreme heat, and extreme cold too. You get frostbite, get hypothermia during extreme cold, and just think about it, when you're out, you're driving, you get caught in a snowstorm, right?
You get hypothermia.
Right, exactly. So that is one kind of myth that is, or misconception. I'd say that's more of a misconception rather than a myth. All right, let's get into our second one here.
Okay.
Technically, lightning cannot strike twice. Ever.
How many times have you heard this as a kid?
Oh yeah, lightning doesn't strike
so
twice
many.
at all. Well, I have some news for you folks. It does. And a classic example, the photo here is representative of that. How many times have you heard or seen about lightning hitting high points, right? The high point. Here's an example, hitting the Empire State Building, and it does that quite a bit. As a matter of fact, a note here I have for that was that the Empire State Building was once used as a lightning laboratory, believe it or not, because it was hit nearly 25 times a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I know, really.
Like, so.
A lot there. So no, that is a definite myth that the lightning could not strike twice in a certain location. So.
And I do think another myth is that, lightning doesn't kind of have like a particular spot, I guess, or it doesn't have like a particular
Location.
Yes, thank you. I was like trying to figure out the word. Like lightning can strike anywhere,
Oh yeah.
It could strike anywhere. You may not be the tallest, spot or, so.
And we talk about that. We find a lower level.
Yeah.
Right? If you happen to be out and
Or just go inside.
If you,
for sure.
Obviously go inside.
Yeah.
If you can do that, get inside, get indoors. But if you're trapped, like everyone now has phones, right? So you get an alert. You're outside. You're nowhere near an indoor place. What do you do? Well, you don't hide under the tree.
No,
That's
do not hide
one.
under the tree. That's another misconception.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that, folks. But try and find. They always say try and find like a little valley or some place where you can huddle in. It's not the best, but under the circumstances, you got to find another location.
Yeah, my favorite saying, when thunder roars, go indoors, because usually
Bingo.
when thunder's there, that means lightning's not too far away. If you could hear the thunder, the lightning is close enough that it could potentially strike you or just strike right near you.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite saying.
Very, very true, Brittany. Now, this next one is very kind of interesting. Doorways are the safest part of a house during an earthquake.
Interesting.
Now, this is one of those that's kind of half true, half not.
Okay. And we usually don't get hurricanes, in DC, or not hurricanes, earthquakes, like, in this area. I think it's really rare that we get those or not mega earthquakes, but those larger earthquakes that you see on the West Coast.
Right, because obviously everybody knows California is a hotbed because it sits right on the Ring of Fire.
Yep.
Which is basically the Ring of Fire. If you don't know, it's basically tectonic plates that are butted up against each other, fault lines, commonly known, because the Earth is not underneath where we are. It's all cracked. You know? And so there are spots where the Earth is like like a broken sidewalk or something.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up in just a All right, welcome back, everybody. We've been talking about different myths and misconceptions, and talking about that. We let it out the bag just a little bit before about the doorway, the frame of the door being strong enough to protect you from when a earthquake actually does hit a region. And so it was kind of good, actually. If you're wondering why I'm looking down here, I'm just checking out a couple things here. But the reason why we're talking about that is because back in the day, Adobe houses, we're going to go right to that slide right there. And let's take that full screen. There you go. The Adobe made house that you see there. At the time, that was good because that door frame was pretty much the strongest point of the foundation almost. So if there was an earthquake, you would get in the frame, underneath the frame, and it would support whatever movement it was in the house, and thereby you were fine. But now with construction these days, it's not the case.
And it's so crazy to me just to think like, back in the day, that was the safest spot because it, was the strongest spot of the house. And nowadays, like you said, with the construction, the new material, we're not using the same exact material we used to use back in the day. It's no longer the safest spot to be in an earthquake. And when you really think about it, I mean, again, I mentioned this before, that the DMV really doesn't see those big earthquakes that you get on the West Coast. So I just thought that was really interesting, especially when you first brought this up as, is this a myth or is this a misconception or is this a fact? And when you think about it, yeah, back in the day it was a fact, but now today it's definitely not a fact.
Correct.
So
kind of like the half truth that we talked about earlier on, with you know, can you catch a cold by being out in cold? Sick, yeah. But now, kind of, but not really. Not now. Not in today's age. All right. We're gonna move on to let's see here. We've got the next section. Let me go here and go back to that, and our next frame and next myth, if you will. This one's a good one. Do taping windows protect your home from hurricanes?
interesting. This is definitely, if you have to ask me, this is definitely a myth. Because in no way Scotch tape is going to protect you from a hurricane. Like, Scott, let's be honest. Duct tape, I know people use duct tape for everything because I'm people, but duct tape is not going to save you from like 175 mile per hour wind gusts. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, there's zero protective quality to that and value in general.
Yeah.
You know, it gives you the false sense of security when it really has no security whatsoever.
Exactly.
What you want to do is you want to, obviously protect yourself and get in the interior of a home when it comes to tornadoes now.
Exactly.
And when it comes to hurricanes, you want to completely get out of your house.
Yeah. If you can, for sure.
Yeah, get out as soon as possible. So there's that false sense of security. I don't know, again, who came up with this games plan back in the day. It ain't working.
I would
That's
say
for sure.
It would be really nice to actually meet the people who came up with these misconceptions / myths. Like, what was going through your minds, when you guys were thinking about this. But I do know, at least for a hurricane, I do know a lot of people, especially down south, what they end up doing is they use plywood, or, they have nowadays these hurricane, I guess, borders is what you could call them, where you could put them over your window.
Yeah.
And that's actually made to sustain, a certain amount of wind gusts that you could see in those type of hurricanes. But yeah, please do not tape up your windows if you are in a hurricane.
No, definitely do not do that. That is not appropriate. Of course, you have, like you said, you have plywood, you have shutters now, you have hurricane shutters. I know for a fact, my mother lives down in the south. She's had to put those up, back in the day. And so thereby, I don't know, but I can tell you, technology these days gives you better and ample reason not to do what you see there
and to
on
me,
your full screen.
Just looking at that picture, like, do I really think that little piece of tape is going to save me from flying debris or, just that strong winds that we're going to be seeing? Even rain. I mean, the rain that you see in a tropical system, a hurricane, I mean, that could pack a punch and that could also break some windows. And you think that tape is going to, hold together?
Absolutely not. None whatsoever. All right.
So
we've kind of debunked that one there. All right. The next one also has to deal with, to a degree, tornadoes in this case. And we'll take a look at that. There we go. So here we have a visual, a tornado starting to form. Actually, it's technically a funnel cloud because it has not technically reached the ground. But it's a funnel cloud which could become a tornado. And it's by a lake. And people think, myths are that, lakes protect areas from tornadoes. It's almost like a roadblock, like a tornado sees like, oh no, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
No, that again is complete false information there. And interesting to hear or even read about that.
Yeah, and I just find it so funny that there are so many misconceptions out there when it comes down to where a tornado can form. I mean, a tornado could literally form anywhere. I grew up in a valley type situation. So, I had a mountain on this side, a mountain on another side. And I grew up learning that, my hometown can never get tornadoes. knocking on wood. Hopefully they will not see a tornado anytime soon. But because of the idea of having the two mountains on each side, a tornado won't be able to get over the mountain. Therefore, you won't get a tornado. And that is completely false.
Completely
Tornadoes
false.
could form anywhere. But I will say, I really do like that picture of that funnel cloud, like we were talking about earlier. That's such a cool picture.
It is very neat to see. Obviously, you hope it doesn't become a tornado
yeah.
at all, but pretty cool to see for sure there. And that leads us to our last sort of big myth or misconception is that flash flooding, well, that can only happen near rivers, streams, creeks. Well,
Not true.
not true.
That is absolutely not true. I mean, we could see flooding anywhere.
That's by this picture.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many factors, I think, Scott, that could go into flash flooding. I mean, you don't have to be by a body of water. You could be in the middle of the desert and see, flooding occur. If the ground is super dry, there's no place for that access water to go, then boom, there you have it. You're going to see some flooding. Or, in the urban areas like the cities, we have a lot of concrete, so you don't have that soil to kind of soak up that extra moisture. You don't have the plants, the trees to, kind of really get into that water. So then that water kind of just sits there. And then, of course, you also have the poor drainage systems. When you have a clogged drain, in the shower, that you see that water go down, but it's not going all the way down because there's too much and it can't handle all that, stuff there. So I just find that very, very interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
because
you can see by this photo, look how deep that
yeah.
water is. It is about halfway up the tires
Exactly.
of these cars.
and I would not recommend, we say this all the time, do not drive through flooded waters.
Oh, no.
We say that all the time. Do not drive through flooded waters. But yeah, that is definitely a misconception, thinking that flash flooding only happens in cities, or not cities, but by rivers, by streaks and creeks and stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it really does show you that, obviously, when flooding does occur, we always are talking about it, flash flood. And that's the other thing, too, that there's an aerial flood.
yeah,
warning,
multiple types of flood alerts that we see.
Go out.
Yeah.
And there's, of course, the urban flash flooding region. And what you just saw there was that urban flash flooding situation. So, yes, it is complete false news to say that we only see flooding around streams and creeks and riverbeds, et cetera, et cetera. No, of course, that does occur when you have such heavy rainfall as you just saw in that video or a photo there that you would get, of course, flooding there too. But it is certainly can be seen elsewhere across the area. So that is definitely another myth. And I don't think too many people will be surprised to hear that because a lot of people do know, as a lot more people becoming weather conscious out there, right?
And we love that. We are here for that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's we have the degrees, but there are people out there that not necessarily have the degrees, but they definitely are very well attuned to what's happening in their neighborhoods, and then also might have some sort of history to their area and know their region pretty well. That hey, if Brittany has got to say and such is going to happen. I got to prepare appropriately for such a weather situation.
Yeah, I mean, especially, the friends who are out on those coastal areas, so, along the Potomac or even out towards Annapolis, you always see, that coastal flooding. So they know, well, they're also by rivers now that I think about it, but that was probably a bad example.
But you bring up a good point, too, that's another aspect of flooding. It can be sunny. Completely sunny, and someone will put out, a coastal flood warning, and you go, well,
why is it? Yep.
Well, the high tide has something to do with that, and the water gets a little bit above what would normally be seen at a particular time of day. But other than that, again, flash flooding can only happen near rivers and streams. No.
And
not
I
the
just,
case.
so many factors could go into flooding in general, like what we were saying before. I mean, like you said, we could have a very sunny day and then high tide comes in, and then we start to see that flooding along the coastal areas, or even if we see a storm, maybe that is just in southern Virginia, that outer fringes are out towards like Virginia Beach or something like that. If that water starts pushing up closer to the north, then we could potentially see, that flooding across maybe DC or portions of southern Maryland. So I do think knowing that flash flooding doesn't just always happens along a body of water. It could literally happen basically anywhere. And there's multiple factors that could go into a flash flood event.
Yeah, absolutely. And a matter of fact, behind what we talked about earlier with regards to the silent killer of heat and cold being the number one issue when it comes to deaths regarding weather scenarios, flooding's not too far behind.
No, it's really not. And I do think, if I remember this correctly, I do see a lot of reports of these deaths either being caused by being in your vehicle, which is why we always say, do not drive through flooded waters because you don't know how deep it is. We don't know how long it's going to take. So we just say avoid flooded waters altogether. But yeah, like you mentioned, flooding is up there as one of those weather killers across the United States.
Very powerful stuff. All right, well, that's all the stuff and myths that we're going to talk about this week, that's for sure. Certainly had you, glad that you could tune in and join us today.
Yeah,
on
thank
our
you,
first,
Scott, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're going to be doing this every week. We'll be having a new one, and everybody's hosting. So, Brittany hosted last week. I'm hosting this week, and Jackie and Damon will eventually be hosting their shows as well, too. So certainly thank you very much for joining in, and God bless, be well, stay safe, and we'll see you